Alright, what's going on everybody? It's Natsfight Media coming at you with another video. You know what time it is, guys. It's time to bring on that boxing. Today we're going to be talking about Anderson Silva and Jake Paul, the fight that all of combat sports, was watching. All the fans, everybody who knows Jake Paul, everybody who knows Anderson Silva, follows the UFC, follows boxing, they all came together this one night to watch, the spectacle that was Jake Paul versus Anderson Silva on Showtime. It was a very interesting fight. I thought that was probably one of the more exciting fights of Jake Paul's, career. I've seen, I think, most of them. And Anderson Silva, he came out hot. I thought that, Jake did a good job the first round. Obviously, Anderson Silva's output was only like what, 4 or 5 punches and landed 2, something like that. But Anderson Silva, he just kind of, as they say, downloaded the information in round 1, and then you saw him have more progress and more success throughout the middle to later rounds, I'd say. But there were very many swing rounds where it could have gone either way. I think that Jake Paul did do enough to, pull off the decision. I just think he was a bit busier, and towards the end, especially, I think Anderson Silva's age started to show. He was fatiguing a little bit, and Jake didn't back down. There were times where Anderson Silva was putting the pressure on him, and I thought, Jake might quit here, man. And then, Jake was tough. He withstood, the storm. He stayed calm. It was impressive to me. I think that fighting a guy like Anderson Silva, even if he's not a professional boxer, it's still an accomplishment. You have to give the kid respect that he, even though Anderson Silva's approaching, 50 years old, yeah, that's a big, factor. The fact that he's getting old, but Jake Paul still beat a legend. He still has the name on his resume. That just happens as part of the sport when guys get old, and they're not the same fighters as they were before. And Jake Paul showed that. Jake Paul, he put on a relatively good performance. I was impressed. I thought that he faced a lot of adversity. It was the first time that a guy was really the aggressor and he wasn't just walking the guy down. I think that it was something new for him. I think when he was always against the ropes, he had to figure out a way. I thought he did a good job of clinching when he needed to. I was impressed with that, actually. I actually thought that was one of the things that got him to his victory, was his ability to clinch when he would get shots off, and then he'd see that Anderson Silva was approaching him, getting close to the ropes, and he'd hold on. I think that's the smart thing to do. That's something that Floyd does, Andre Ward, a lot of guys, they're skilled at this kind of stuff. It's a strategy. Anderson Silva was actually getting frustrated when Jake would continue to clinch. Who cares? Respect to Jake Paul, respect to Anderson Silva. They put on a great performance and, form of entertainment for the fans. Do I think that Jake Paul did enough to win the fight? I'd say so. I think that Anderson Silva, I thought it was close. I think that if it was a draw, it would be a bit of a stretch for Anderson Silva, but I wouldn't be so mad. I'd probably be surprised. I think Jake Paul won that fight for sure. He definitely edged it out. And I think if it were to go 12 rounds, I think Jake Paul might have stopped him just because Anderson Silva looked so tired and fatigued, in the championship rounds, which were the 7th and 8th rounds. Obviously, he was still very aggressive. He let his hands go and everything, but there wasn't pop on either guy's shots. I think they both fatigued, to be honest, but I think Anderson Silva was a little bit more, something that he couldn't control, and Jake kind of turned it up a little bit towards the end, where, that kind of made a big difference in the fight. I think that Jake Paul can only go up from here. I don't know who he fights next. You're kind of running out of guys to fight within the MMA world. I think he wants that Nate Diaz fight or Jorge Masvidal. I think those are all entertaining fights. It's just a matter of, are people going to want to see it? Obviously, people are always going to criticize Jake, say, fight a real boxer, fight somebody who's your own size, stuff like that. But there's a market for these fights. If the people want to see Nate Diaz or Jorge Masvidal or Kamaru Usman get in there with Jake Paul, I think that would be still as interesting as anything else, just because of the animosity that would take place leading up to the fight. I feel like Jake Paul and one of those guys are going to sell out easily. Anderson Silva's a nice guy. Imagine if it were somebody like Jorge Masvidal or Nate Diaz, who these guys don't mind talking trash. I think it would be interesting. So hopefully one of those fights happens. But respect to Jake Paul, respect to Anderson Silva. Heck of a fight. It was a good main event, and I hope to see both of these guys back in action. Maybe not Anderson Silva necessarily, just because he's getting up there in age. Just considering his health and everything like that. So we'll see what happens. But it was an interesting fight, and we'll see what Jake Paul does next. But thank you guys for watching this video. Thank you for watching the recap. Let me know in the comments what you guys think of the fight. what you guys thought of the fight. Did you think Jake Paul did enough to win? Were you guys impressed? Or, was it just beating up an old guy? Let me know in the comments. Thank you guys for watching. Catch you guys later. Peace. Well, that's going to do it for another NazFight Media video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you guys for the constant support. Salute to you always.